Hey there, Bible buddies. I've got another Bible review for you today, and this one is an Oxford University Press New Emerald Reference Edition of the King James Version Bible. So let's go ahead and take a look. This is one of the thinner offerings that Oxford has produced, and this is the entire, the entire Bible. It's not just the New Testament or anything like that, and it is fairly thin. It's probably close to about the size of a Pitt Minion, maybe a little bit thinner than a Pitt Minion. And I certainly have some that are a little thinner than this, but this is getting pretty close. Take a look at the outside first. You have that beautiful grain. You have a nice perimeter line around the edge. And this is that nice genuine leather grain that we've been seeing a little bit of recently. Hopefully we'll see some more. You have Holy Bible centered up and nicely imprinted there on the cover. Very nicely done. On the spine, the perimeter line weirdly does not continue. It kind of ends right there. It does not continue on the spine, but you do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of, imprinted hubs there. They're kind of pressed down into it. Not burnished or anything, just kind of pressed down. Some rib indications. You do have Holy Bible and then Oxford down at the bottom. You notice this edition has a little bit of a chip there on the bottom edge. Nothing too crazy though. Fairly nice leather, all things considered. On the back, we just have the same beautiful grain there. Very wonderful, very nice grain. I wouldn't say like soft to the touch. It's pretty firm, and the texture is very tactile. It almost feels like I don't know what to compare it to. Just like a kind of a very rough skin. It's neat. It's cool. As far as the other accents go, we have a red and yellow head and tail bands, a beautiful gold gilt there. I would imagine this is probably actual gold because it does have a fairly nice luster. Very well done. The ribbon is, the ribbon isn't quite the best, but that's okay. The ribbon is, what we've come to expect from this era. It is just like a woven kind of fabric ribbon. There's nothing to write home about. I would imagine maybe new it might have been red, but over the years it's faded and frayed and all that sort of stuff. So now it's kind of a pinkish color, but it's just kind of a meager attempt at a ribbon. So let's go ahead and get into it, open it up. On the inside, we have a black paste down synthetic liner. Nothing fancy, no kind of texture or anything like that, just a kind of a black synthetic material. It does appear to be reinforced, which is nice. I'll show you the corner work, which does look pretty nice here on this little edition. Some of the corners, I guess, some of them are kind of blah. And it's clean otherwise. There's no sort of imprinting or anything to tell you what the leather is. So go ahead and get into it. A little dedication there. And then we have a blank kind of thicker sheet of paper here. Nice thick sheet, like if you want to write something on it or something. Then you have your title page. There you go. You can see at the bottom there that is a New Emerald Reference Edition, and it is on India paper. Now, this Bible has been fairly well used, so you'll see that there's some kind of discoloration, and foxing is what it's called. Foxing is kind of when the paper turns kind of like a blotchy kind of orange color. I don't have very many editions that have it, and I think this one, it's only kind of sporadic. It's not very much. I'm not sure what causes foxing. I don't know if it's just a byproduct of oxidation or if it's some sort of like a red mold or something like that that's growing on the pages. I'm not too sure. I did a little bit of digging, but couldn't find any kind of like substantial information. On the back, we have the copyright page there, a little bit of information about it. We have our table of contents. There we go. And the alphabetical list of the books. And we have the marginal references here with a little explanation of it. And then you have the first book of Moses called Genesis. All right, now this is a pretty standard format from what we've been seeing recently with the King James Version Bibles. Go ahead and turn. We'll turn a few pages in so you guys can get a better feel for it. And I do believe, yes, there is Overcast stitching here, right on the inside here. A nice little Overcast stitching line. Wonderfully well done. All right, now, so if we look at it, let's get a little further even. This Bible is, I'm not sure what causes it, but you can hear kind of this sound. That sound is known as cockling, and it has to do with like how the binding is done. If the binding is I've heard if the binding is too tight. I've also heard like if they put too much glue on the back, it kind of causes this kind of like loud sound with the Bibles. So I'm not too sure what it is with this edition. This edition also has some kind of weird issue that I'm not sure of, and it's not quite like water damage, but it looks like maybe it would have been somewhere that had like a very high humidity content. So the pages are all kind of like rippled on the edges. Again, not from like a direct water intrusion, but definitely maybe humidity got to it over the years or something like that. So it definitely makes the pages kind of harder to handle. On top of that, the paper is very thin, but we'll look at that in a second here. Let's go ahead and look at the features. You have your book name and your chapter numbers up at the top corners. On the inside of the corners, you have your running headers. Page numbers down in the bottom center. It is a center column reference here. You have a 1, 2, 3, a triple line drop cap for one, something a little bit different. A triple line drop cap here, and then you don't have any sort of summaries for the chapters or anything like that, just the running headers at the top and the gutter. So yeah, let me go ahead and zoom in here for you so you can see the kind of the cross references and the footnotes and those sorts of things in the center column there. Very nice edition. A little on the portable side, it's very thin, very trim. I'll flip through some of it as we go, and you can see, you can hear the cockling. You kind of see this sort of weird kind of patterning. I'm assuming you can see it. I don't know. Let's see. Might be able to see a little bit better with the shadows there. It's kind of like wavy. So again, I'm not really too sure what caused it, but it just makes it kind of hard to deal with. So let's go to Psalm 119 here. You can see in this edition they do put the kind of the Hebrew letters there. So take a closer look at the paper. And the paper, obviously, it's India paper, so it's very nice. It is fairly white. I don't want to say it's like 100% what it used to be, but it's certainly held up over the test. It's certainly held up over the years. And you can see very minimal show through. I don't even know. You can see very little bit of it, very little show through. But given the thickness of this paper, I mean, this paper is, man, if I had to venture a guess, I'd say like easily low 20s, maybe 22 GSM, 20 GSM, even 18 GSM. It is super thin. It's like an onion skin. And this sort of paper I do not prefer because it I mean, you can see here I'm having a hard time turning back to the page that I just had. And even now I go to turn it and look, it's 497 to 501. So I skipped like 4 pages just turning what I thought was one page. So this very thin paper, right? It's nice because it's thin, it's lightweight, it is very opaque, which is great. It's just for me personally, it's very hard to turn. So it's not something that I can appreciate, I guess. I mean, I can appreciate the paper. It's nice, the endeavor, right? And the production quality and the kind of the characteristics of it all is nice. But for me, for my personal use, I would not prefer to have this sort of paper. Probably drive me nuts turning pages. Not that I'm turning pages all that often, I guess, while I'm reading, but. All right, so here we have the end of the prophets. Then we have our New Testament title page. I'll flip this over. You can see how much trouble it's giving me, goodness. And we have the Gospel according to St. Matthew. Now we'll flip over and see it is a black letter text. So nothing crazy going on. We'll go ahead and get to the end. And at the end, I think there's just a couple little things here. So we have the end of Revelation right there. We do have a little production code. So it says 1564 N6. So I'm assuming this book block was produced in 1964. And then we have the New Oxford Bible maps and the list of the maps. So let's see if these are an improvement over what we've been seeing recently. Ooh, maybe I'll get my favorite word in here. Nope, just an index maps. I always hope for a gazetteer. It's not often that I get what I'm hoping for. There we go. And a little note again on the maps. You can see the maps there. So these maps are actually pretty nice. You know, the colors are kind of subdued and the page is definitely oxidized. This is not on India paper. This is like a thicker kind of matte paper. Not quite like a cardstock or anything, but it's a fairly thick sheet of paper. But it's not, you know, India paper because it has oxidized. These colors are very nice. The text is very large. I mean, you guys, I would imagine, can probably read most of this there on screen. So these are some nice maps, and they're definitely a departure from what we've seen before. Now, if you'll notice, this looks very similar to a certain map in the back of Schuyler. And I think Cambridge has the same sort of map, kind of a double-page map here like this, you know, split in half. So this might have been one that was kept over the ages. Here's another one. Oh man, they did it with a bunch of them. That's good. That's nice. Yeah, these are some very nice maps. Definitely a lot nicer than what we're used to seeing. The colors are nice because they're subdued, right? Without being like a pastel, right? I'm not a fan of like pastel orange and blue and pastel green being used. This kind of gives it like a nice like sandy kind of earth texture or color. And then you can tell where the water is, obviously. And then it's light enough to where it's very easily read. Despite the fact that there's so much going on here, there's so many names and that sort of thing, it's still fairly easy to read the names and to make them out. You know, it's not like you have a bunch of like topographic lines there trying to give it texture. That's all done with the color on the page instead of the black marks. So there you go, some very nice maps. On the bottom there, we have a little production code. I'll show it to you guys. It's a little long for me to read. There you go. And we just have that thick end sheet there. That's it. So, if you guys aren't familiar with the Emerald Bible, right? So there's an Emerald edition. There's also a New Emerald. And for a while there, Oxford was producing a lot of Bibles that had the names of stones, right? So there was the topaz, there was the emerald, there's the amethyst, the ruby, right? So they had kind of, that was the way they named their line, right? Their model lines. And there's various sizes attributed with that. So one of these days, God willing, I'm hoping to do a comparison video where I can show you guys all of those different sizes of Bibles. The thing is, there's a whole bunch. There's like 20 different sizes. And I have the majority of them. I think I'm only missing like maybe one or two that I don't have. But I think I have just about all of them from what I've seen, at least on eBay, as far as I can ascertain. But they go all the way from, I think it's the agate, which is very small. It's like this big, all the way up to the pica, which is like humongous. It's bigger than the screen can pick up. It's a very large Bible. But yeah, so there's, certainly a wide range of models that Oxford offered. Now, I'm not too sure what the difference is between the new designation. Like I said, there was originally an Emerald text and then a New Emerald text. I don't know if that was just updating from a, maybe the original Emerald text might have been that original kind of like hot press printing, that you see where the letters get kind of blobby and a little kind of, funky looking sometimes. That might have been the case. And then maybe the New Emerald has kind of cleaned up text. And this text certainly does look clean. It's not quite as blobby as some of the older style text, maybe like a turquoise has. So I don't know if that's the case, maybe. But they only had a few that had the kind of the new addition to the name. They had kind of a weird naming scheme that they went with, where they would add things like new or royal, or they kind of had like different, I guess, prefixes that they would add to it, and different suffixes as well to kind of let you know kind of where in the line you were with each model. So let's get you guys some measurements and go on from there. So this one comes in at just shy of 7.5 inches tall by, what is that, about just shy of 5.25 inches wide. And like I said, it's nice and thin. And it's right at, what is that? 4, 5, 6, 7. 7/8 of an inch thick. So pretty trim edition. And I think definitely thinner than the Pitt Minion, because I think the Pitt is, I don't remember now, I think it's about an inch. I think. I don't remember. Go watch my video. You'll figure it out. So let's go ahead and take a look at the uppercase letters here. Now, obviously, because this is such a small edition, the letters are going to be pretty small too. And they're getting tiny. It appears to be about a 6.5 point font for the uppercase versus Times New Roman. I'll take a look here at the lowercase. Let me find an M. There we go, man. Lowercase looks to be a little bit bigger, which is nice. I don't mind when they do that, because like I always say, there's more lowercase letters than uppercase letters, and that's typically what I go by. And the lowercase seems to be about a 7.5 point font versus Times New Roman. So certainly, if you're going by the lowercase, like I do, you'll have a 7.5 point Bible here, which isn't too terribly small. I think most of the portable Bibles nowadays are around an 8-point font. So this isn't too far of a departure from that. And certainly bigger than a Pitt Minion, if I remember correctly. Again, go watch that video. Any questions, comments, concerns, any of that kind of stuff, Bible buddies, please feel free to leave them down below. If you could also like, comment, subscribe, all that cool YouTube stuff would be much appreciated. Until next time, Bible buddies. Bye.